What is up, everybody? How are we doing? Happy Wednesday to all of the real ones out there. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles now. My name is Chase Sr. As always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for supporting the program. Coming up here on today's edition of Eagles Now, did Philadelphia just receive a gift from the 49ers going into this wild card matchup on Sunday? We're going to get into that. But first, I want to start here. This has become a pretty big rivalry between the Eagles and the Niners, the Philadelphia fan base and the San Francisco fan base. And you look here to my right, the amount of subscribers picked up this week, it's a close battle. Like, I believe this game is going to be a close bout as well. Eagles Now has picked up 150 new subscribers this week. 49ers report 155. Which channel can pick up the most subscribers in the lead up to kickoff? Hit that sub button for daily and year-round coverage of the Birds, and let's see if Eagles Now can get that victory. I do want to get to our sponsor here. We're going to kick off with that, and then we'll get the show rolling here in just a moment. Today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is sponsored by Polymarket. It's time to challenge the status quo, and Polymarket is now live to help us do so. You could be a part of the revolutionary alternative to sportsbooks with our special invite code. Download Polymarket's new app now via the link that is in the description and comments to unlock exclusive early access and a free $10 in your account with the invite code CHAT. Polymarket is a prediction marketplace that lets you make trades on the outcomes of sporting events. As you can see here on your screen right now to my right, you can even buy and sell within a game with live trading. Polymarket has the lowest fees ever. You trade against other people, not the platform. You can cash out anytime and react to momentum swings within the game. You are in control. It's legal and available nationwide in all 50 states on their iOS app now. And for this week's Philadelphia Eagles San Francisco 49ers game, Polymarket is giving the Eagles a 68% chance to win. Pretty high right there. So $10 free is waiting for you. No card, no deposit, nothing. Download the app with our exclusive code CHAT at chatsports.com/Polymarket for exclusive early access and $10 free right now. All right, here we go. The topic of today's Philadelphia Eagles Now really centers around how banged up the San Francisco 49ers are. And the Niners have had a lot of injury woes under Kyle Shanahan since he took the head coaching job in 2017 after he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. Since Shanahan has taken over the Niners, this is kind of crazy. San Francisco has been top 10 in injury rate every single year except for 2023, when the Niners made it to the Super Bowl and nearly beat the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime. Now, the 49ers, despite that, have had a ton of success, but they have been an injury-riddled team for a long time. Now, I do want to make this clear. You never root for injuries, for a rival, for an opponent, and it's unfortunate what has happened to the Niners. This is one of the most well-run organizations in the sport. It's an iconic brand worldwide. Kyle Shanahan is a phenomenal head coach, and they've still had some of the most success all time among all organizations with 5 Super Bowls, but also under Shanahan as he's turned that organization around after some disastrous years from the likes of Jim Tomsula and Chip Kelly. And the 49ers, it's impressive how much success they've had given the injury problems that they've had as an organization, because a lot of teams would just have awful season after awful season if they had that high injury rate that the Niners have had to deal with. And imagine the success that San Francisco could have if they were a little bit healthier. But it comes down to this too. If they managed their health better. And this is the topic of the conversation that I want to get to here on today's show. Because in covering both teams, I think it's clear that the Eagles and Nick Sirianni manage player health and go about their training methods and how they practice a lot differently than the 49ers. And I think that the data backs this up. Under Sirianni, since he took the job in 2021, the Eagles have been one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. When they were playing under Doug Peterson, remember how often injured the Eagles were? They were kind of like the Niners in a way, where they were winning and they would rally late in the year to make the playoffs in 2018 and in 2019. but it was despite all of their injury problems. Like, they were such a banged up team under Doug Peterson. They've changed medical staffs. Nick Sirianni has managed how the Eagles practice, and they go about health, fitness, nutrition a lot differently with Sirianni than they did with Doug Peterson, and obviously what Peterson did much different than before him with Chip Kelly. And look at these numbers here. In 2022, all 22 opening day starters started in the Super Bowl for the Eagles. In 2024, 21 of 22 opening day starters for Philadelphia started in the Super Bowl. That's why the training staff was on a float and they held up a sign. 21 of 22 starters in the Super Bowl. Heading into the playoffs right now for the Eagles. Obviously, everybody can argue and they can debate about Sirianni's decision to rest his starters in Week 18. That cost Philadelphia the number 2 seed in the NFC. I wanted the Eagles to play for that, but I understood why Sirianni was erring on the side of health. Well, you can see why he went about it in that way, right? Because the Eagles starters got a bye week. These Eagles players wanted that rest. They're coming off a year in which they won the Super Bowl, had a shortened offseason, and they needed some time off. And now the Eagles have the rest advantage over the Niners going into this game, and they're so much healthier than San Francisco. 21 of 22 opening day starters could be healthy in this game against the 49ers. We'll see what happens with Lane Johnson. Brian Baldinger said he wasn't going to play. Now he's saying he's going to play. Adam Schefter on the radio this morning saying, yeah, Lane Johnson is going to play. It looks like Nakobe Dean is going to be back. Nakobe Dean is the one that takes away from that 21 of 22 because he started the year on PUP, but he's a normal starter for Philadelphia. So I do think that some of the Niners' injury problems have been avoidable, and I think that some of the Niners' injury problems are self-inflicted with how they approach practice, how physical of a team they are, and some of their training methods. And I reported this a little while ago. I'm a talk show host. I have opinions. I'm a content creator. But also from time to time, I did study broadcast journalism at Temple University. I've been in the industry for 10 years. I do have some sources out there. So I had thrown this report out back a couple months ago at this point in talking about the Niners' injury problems. I talked to somebody that night who's worked as an athletic trainer for multiple NFL teams. We started talking about the Niners' injury history. And this person said it's pretty known in NFL circles among strength and conditioning people and physical therapists that the 49ers do things differently than other teams, and they have their own philosophies when it comes to strength and conditioning, physical therapy, and weightlifting. This individual knows of head athletic trainer for the Niners, Dustin Little, and said he has his own style of things that he teaches and incorporates with the Niners, weightlifting, movement techniques, and training strategy. And people across the league are aware of how the Niners do things because it's their way, and they think this could be playing a big role into the Niners' injury woes. It's not to say that what Little incorporates is wrong or bad. It's just different than what other teams do. Really interesting. And with what the Eagles do, they train in a way and they approach player health in a way where they manage it in a really good fashion, and it leads to players being healthy, especially late in the year for the postseason where Philadelphia's trying to peak to compete and win a Super Bowl. Which brings me to this. Yesterday, the Niners signed former Eagle, who had more than 100 tackles for Philadelphia in 2022, Kasper White, the linebacker. He had 137 tackles with the Arizona Cardinals last year. The Niners were in a spot because they were so hurt, and it's not just a linebacker. They're injured everywhere. But they were so depleted at the linebacker spot that they needed to make a move to sign Kasper White because every linebacker who made the initial 53-man roster for San Francisco was hurt. So they needed to make a move at linebacker because they didn't have enough bodies going into this wild card game. And so the potential starters for San Francisco going into this wild card matchup against the Eagles, Eric Kendricks, who's been in the league now for 11 years and had 9 straight years of 100-plus tackles, he might be starting at linebacker for the Niners. He was just signed by San Francisco on November 26th. They might also start Kasper White, who just signed with the Niners on January 6th. And then Curtis Robinson might be a starting linebacker. He's up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. He's been a really good special teamer throughout his career. But he had been so bad in coverage of late as he was getting some playing time because, again, Niners so banged up at linebacker that he was a healthy scratch because he could not hold up in coverage. And so the Eagles have an opportunity here to really exploit and take advantage of a massive weakness on that Niners defense, which is in the middle of the field at that linebacker spot. And Jalen Hurts this year has thrived throwing crossing routes. When Hurts has targeted crossers, he is 32 of 38 for 329 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a passer rating of 129.1. Kevin Patullo, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, because you have say with this Eagles offense, I hope you're watching the show. I hope this message gets passed along to you because Philadelphia has a wonderful opportunity to really break down this Niners defense by going after their linebackers. Now, we mentioned those numbers when Hurts targets crossers. That's great, right? Here's the problem. The Eagles only ran crossers at the 3rd lowest rate in the NFL. Kevin Patullo, this simply can't happen. This is what makes football beautiful. This is what makes football great. It's the X's and O's. It's the intricacies of the game. It's identifying an opponent's weakness and attacking that, seeing how they counter, and if they counter, you counter-react to what they do, right? Kevin Patullo has to call crosser after crosser. If you want to throw your beloved hitch routes, do it in the middle of the field. But design and call plays that can take advantage of the Niners defense in between the numbers and in between the hashes and target their linebackers. Kendricks has been a really good player throughout his career. He's very slow. Kaiser White has barely been healthy this year. He just got signed yesterday. Curtis Robinson is a special teamer. He is not a coverage linebacker. Philadelphia has to take advantage of this, and they have to maximize their horses. Now, I will say, in the lead up to that Buffalo game, I did think that the Eagles did a better job of calling crossers for A.J. Brown, lining him up in the slot and outside. I want to see the Eagles continue to do that. Do it with Devontae Smith, who is great picking up yards after the catch and thrives when he runs some of these crossers. Of course, Dallas Scudder, that's the meat and potatoes of his game, in the middle of the field because, naturally, he's a tight end. If you want to line up Saquon Barkley in the slot, do that. He's a route runner, and he can catch the football. Now, and speaking of Saquon Barkley, this thing that I'm talking about, it's not just about the pass game. This is about the run game as well. And the Niners backers, especially against the Seattle Seahawks on Saturday night, they were awful against the run. Over pursuing, the Niners as a team missed 18 tackles against the Seahawks. And sometimes from that linebacker spot, it comes down to instinct, smarts, and being able to read and react. When you're a veteran like Kendricks and White, you can do that a little bit, but the Eagles are far more athletic than the 49ers at that linebacker spot. So the Eagles have an opportunity here, too, to gash the Niners linebackers on the ground. Look at how Seattle fared against the Niners on Saturday. They put up 361 yards of total offense, 5.4 yards per play. 180 of those came on the ground, 4.6 yards per carry. The Seahawks ran it 39 times. That should be a target area for the amount of carries that the Eagles want to get to in this game. Because if they can run it successfully, I think they're going to win. So this could be an opponent for the Eagles that could help Philadelphia on offense find a little bit of a groove, find some confidence, find an identity, because the Niners come into this game limping and talent deficient. Don't forget to give me a follow on all my social media platforms, X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me at Chase_Senior. I'm giving you additional Eagles coverage over there. Just started that TikTok page, and we're already humming.